My name is Claire Patterson. I'm 25 years old. And 9 years ago, my parents threw me out of our house in Evanston, Illinois during a thunderstorm because my older sister told them I'd stolen $3,000 from our mother's dresser drawer. I hadn't stolen anything, but they believed her without asking a single question. My father stood at the front door at 9:47 p.m. on a Tuesday in October, rain hammering the porch behind me, and he said 5 words that I still hear in my sleep. Get out. I don't need a daughter like you. 3 hours later, at 12:52 a.m., the Evanston Police Department called my parents and told them I was at North Shore University Health System in critical condition. When my father walked into my hospital room and saw who was sitting in the chair next to my bed, his face went white, and his hands started shaking so badly he had to grip the doorframe to stay upright. The man sitting next to me looked up, smiled politely, and said, "Mr. Patterson, I'm Daniel Whitmore. I believe we need to talk about your daughter." My father recognized the name immediately. Everyone in Evanston did. Daniel Whitmore was the founder and CEO of Whitmore Technologies, a software company headquartered in downtown Chicago worth $840 million. He'd been on the cover of Forbes twice. He'd donated $12 million to Northwestern University's engineering school. He lived in a penthouse on Lakeshore Drive and drove a black Tesla Model S that cost more than my parents' house. And he was sitting in my hospital room at 1 o'clock in the morning, holding my hand. Before I tell you how we got there, hit like and subscribe. But only if this story genuinely resonates with you. Drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from right now and what time it is there. I read every single one. I want to know this is reaching people in Manila at sunrise, and college students in Seattle at midnight, and parents in Ohio wondering if they've made the same mistakes mine did. Now let me take you back to where this really started. Not the hospital room. That was just the moment my parents realized they'd destroyed something they couldn't fix. This story starts 9 years earlier in October 2016, when I was 16 years old and my sister Vanessa was 19. We grew up in Evanston, a suburb just north of Chicago, where the median household income is $87,000, and the public high school sends 89% of graduates to college. Our house was a 3-bedroom bungalow on Ashland Avenue, and we're 2 blocks from the metro station. My father, Tom Patterson, worked as an operations manager at a printing company in Skokie, making $72,000 a year. My mother, Linda Patterson, was a receptionist at a dental office on Chicago Avenue, making $41,000 a year. Money was always tight. Not poverty tight, but tight enough that we clipped coupons and bought store-brand everything and talked about expenses constantly. My parents had $38,000 in credit card debt from medical bills after my grandmother had a stroke in 2014. They were paying it down slowly, $400 a month, stressing about it at the kitchen table every Sunday night when they did the budget. Vanessa was the star, always had been. Homecoming queen at Evanston Township High School, captain of the dance team, president of student council. She had a 3.8 GPA and got into University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign with a partial scholarship that covered 60% of tuition. My parents were incredibly proud. They threw her a graduation party in June 2015 with catered sandwiches from Cupidal Coffee and a cake from Sweet Mandy Bees that said UIUC, Class of 2019 in orange frosting. 40 people came. Vanessa started college in August 2015. She came home every other weekend with laundry and stories about frat parties and complaints about her roommate. My mother listened to every word like Vanessa was describing a foreign country. My father gave her gas money every time she visited, $40 cash from his wallet, even though we were behind on the electric bill. I was 15, starting sophomore year at Evanston Township. I was quiet. Not shy, just not loud. I got good grades, mostly A's and B's. I ran cross-country in the fall and track in the spring. I had 3 close friends, Megan, Iris, and Samantha, and we spent weekends at the public library or walking to Buffalo Joe's for wings, or sitting in Dawes Park talking about nothing. I wasn't the star. I was just there. And my parents treated me accordingly. They came to Vanessa's dance competitions and took photos and posted them on Facebook. They didn't come to my cross-country meets. They said they had to work, or they were tired, or it was too far to drive to some random forest preserve in the suburbs. I stopped telling them when I had races. It was easier than being disappointed. In October 2016, Vanessa came home for fall break. She'd been at school for 6 weeks. She walked into the house on a Friday afternoon with 2 loads of laundry and a new boyfriend named Tyler, who went to UIUC and studied finance and wore a North Face jacket and called my dad sir. My parents loved him immediately. My mother made pot roast for dinner, the fancy kind with carrots and red wine she only made for special occasions. Vanessa and Tyler sat at the table talking about their classes and their plans and how Tyler's dad worked at a hedge fund in Chicago and could maybe get Vanessa an internship. I sat at the end of the table eating pot roast and being invisible. After dinner, Tyler left. Vanessa stayed. She was home for the weekend. Saturday morning, I woke up at 7 a.m. to go for a run. It was cold, 43 degrees, but clear. I ran 6 miles through the neighborhood, down to the lakefront, back up through campus. When I got home at 8:30, my mother was in the kitchen making coffee. Vanessa was still asleep. I showered, ate cereal, and went to the library to work on a history paper about the New Deal that was due Monday. I got home at 3 p.m. My mother was in the living room folding laundry. My father was in the garage organizing tools. Vanessa was awake, sitting on the couch in sweatpants watching HGTV. I said hi. She didn't respond. I went upstairs to my room and worked on my paper until dinner. We ate spaghetti. Vanessa barely spoke. She looked upset, but I didn't ask why. We weren't close. We'd never been close. After dinner, I went back upstairs. At 9:30 p.m., my father knocked on my door. He didn't wait for me to answer. He just opened it and walked in. My mother was behind him. Both of them looked furious. "Claire," my father said, "where's the money?" "What money?" I asked. I was sitting at my desk with my laptop open, working on the conclusion of my paper. "Don't play dumb," my mother said. "The $3,000 from my dresser drawer, it's gone." I stared at her. "I don't know what you're talking about." My father stepped closer. "Your sister saw you in our bedroom this afternoon. She said you were going through the dresser." "I wasn't in your bedroom," I said. "I was at the library all afternoon. I didn't get home until 3 o'clock. "Vanessa said she saw you at 2:30, my mother said. "She came upstairs to get her phone charger, and you were in our room with the drawer open." "That's not true," I said. "I wasn't here. I was at the library. Ask anyone." I was sitting at a table on the second floor next to the history section. My father's jaw tightened. "So you're saying your sister is lying?" "I'm saying she's wrong," I said. "Maybe she saw someone else, or maybe she's confused about the time, but it wasn't me. I wasn't here." My mother crossed her arms. "The money is gone, Claire. I had $3,000 in that drawer. It's been there for 2 months. I was saving it to pay down the credit card. And now it's gone. And Vanessa said she saw you." "Why would I take your money?" I asked. "I don't even go in your room." "Because you're jealous," my mother said. The words came out fast and sharp, like she'd been holding them in for a long time. "You're jealous of your sister. You always have been. She's at college, she has a boyfriend, she has a future. And you're stuck here being average." The accusation hit me like a slap. I'm not jealous of Vanessa. "Yes, you are," my father said. "And you took that money to hurt us, to punish us for giving her opportunities you don't have." I stood up from my desk. "I didn't take your money. I don't know where it is. But I didn't take it." "Then where is it?" my mother demanded. "I don't know. Maybe Vanessa took it. Maybe you miscounted. Maybe it fell behind the dresser, but I didn't touch it." "Don't you dare blame your sister," my father said. His voice was loud now, echoing off the walls of my small bedroom. "Vanessa wouldn't steal from us. She has everything she needs. We give her everything." "And what do you give me?" I asked. The question came out before I could stop it. My parents stared at me. "You have a roof over your head," my mother said. "You have food. You have clothes. You have a perfectly good life, and you're throwing it away because you want attention." "I'm not throwing anything away," I said. "I get good grades. I don't cause problems. I don't ask you for anything. And you're accusing me of stealing $3,000 I didn't take, based on what Vanessa said she saw." "She saw you," my father repeated. "She has no reason to lie." "Maybe she does," I said. My mother's face turned red. "Get out." "What?" Get out of this house. If you're going to stand here and lie to our faces and accuse your sister of setting you up, then you can leave. Mom, I didn't. I don't want to hear it, she said. She walked to my closet, grabbed my duffel bag from the top shelf, and threw it on the bed. Pack. You're not staying here tonight. Dad, I said, looking at my father. Please. I didn't do this. He didn't look at me. He looked at the floor. Your mother's right. If you can't be honest with us, you can't stay here. It was 9:47 p.m. on a Tuesday in October, and it was 48 degrees outside and raining. I packed a duffel bag with clothes, my phone charger, my wallet with $27 in it, and my student ID. My parents stood in the hallway and watched. Vanessa stayed downstairs. I didn't see her as I left. My father opened the front door. The rain was coming down hard, drumming on the porch roof. I stood in the doorway with my duffel bag over my shoulder. Dad, I said one more time, I didn't take the money. He looked at me. His face was hard. Get out, Claire. I don't need a daughter like you. I walked out into the rain. He closed the door behind me. I heard the lock click. I stood on the porch for 30 seconds, waiting to see if he'd open it again. He didn't. I walked down the steps, down the driveway, onto Ashland Avenue. The rain soaked through my jacket in less than a minute. I walked toward downtown Evanston. I didn't have a plan. I didn't have anywhere to go. My friends' houses were all at least a mile away, and I didn't want to show up soaking wet at 10 p.m., explaining that my parents had kicked me out. I walked to the metro station on Davis Street. There's a covered waiting area with benches. I sat down on a bench under the shelter and pulled out my phone. I thought about calling Megan. I thought about calling my grandmother who lived in Naperville. I thought about calling the police. But I didn't call anyone. I just sat there in wet clothes, shivering, staring at the tracks. At 10:30, a man sat down on the bench across from me. He was maybe 40, wearing a dark wool coat and carrying a leather briefcase. He looked at me for a long moment. Then he said, "Are you all right?" "I'm fine," I said. You don't look fine. You're soaking wet and it's 45 degrees out here. I'm just waiting for someone." He didn't look convinced. "Do you need help? Can I call someone for you?" I shook my head. "I'm okay, thank you." He reached into his coat pocket, pulled out his wallet, and handed me a business card. "If you change your mind, call this number. It's a youth crisis hotline. They can help you find a place to stay tonight." I took the card. "Thank you." He nodded and walked toward the platform. A northbound train pulled in 2 minutes later, and he got on. I sat there holding the card, staring at the phone number printed in small black letters. At 11:15 p.m., a police car pulled into the parking lot next to the station. 2 officers got out. One of them, a woman in her 30s, walked over to me. "Hi there, you doing okay?" "Yes, ma'am." You've been sitting here for over an hour. The station manager called us. He was worried." "I'm fine. I'm just waiting for a ride. Do you have someone coming to get you?" I hesitated. "Yes." She looked at my duffel bag, my wet jacket, my face. "What's your name?" "Claire. Claire Patterson." "How old are you, Claire?" 16. "Where do you live?" "Ashland Avenue. About 6 blocks from here. And why aren't you at home right now?" I didn't answer. The officer crouched down so she was eye level with me. Her name tag said J. Ramirez. "Claire, if you're in trouble, we can help. But I need you to be honest with me. Are you safe?" "I don't know," I said. My voice cracked. "My parents kicked me out. They think I stole money from them, did you?" "No." She nodded slowly. "Okay. Do you have somewhere you can go tonight? A friend's house? A relative?" I can go to my friend Megan's house. She lives on Hinman Avenue. It's about a mile from here. Do you want us to give you a ride?" I shook my head. "I can walk." "It's still pouring," Officer Ramirez said. "Let us drive you." I didn't argue. I got in the back of the police car with my duffel bag. The other officer, a man in his 50s whose name tag said M. Kowalski, drove. Officer Ramirez sat in the passenger seat and turned to look at me through the cage. "What's your friend's address?" I gave her Megan's address, 1847 Hinman Avenue. Officer Kowalski pulled out of the parking lot and started driving north. We were 2 blocks from Megan's house when another call came over the radio. Dispatch, this is Unit 23. We need an ambulance at the intersection of Church Street and Chicago Avenue. Pedestrian struck by a vehicle. Female, approximately 16 years old, unresponsive. Officer Ramirez looked at Officer Kowalski. That's 2 blocks from here. He turned on the lights and sirens and made a U-turn. We got to the intersection in less than a minute. There was a silver Honda Accord stopped in the middle of the road with its hazards on. A man in his 60s was standing next to the driver's side door with his hands on his head saying, "Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God," over and over. And in the crosswalk, lying face down in the rain, was a girl in a white jacket with long brown hair. The officers got out of the car. Officer Ramirez ran to the girl. Officer Kowalski started directing traffic. I stayed in the back seat, watching through the window. Officer Ramirez knelt down, checked for a pulse, and immediately started radioing for an ambulance. The girl wasn't moving. 2 minutes later, an ambulance arrived. Paramedics loaded the girl onto a stretcher. I couldn't see her face. They put her in the ambulance and drove away, sirens screaming. Officer Ramirez came back to the car. She was pale. She got in the passenger seat and looked at Officer Kowalski. That girl goes to Evanston Township. I've seen her before. Sophomore or junior, I think. Officer Kowalski nodded. Let's get this one to her friend's house, then we'll go back to the station and file a report. They drove me to Megan's house. I got out, walked to the front door, and rang the bell. Megan's mom answered. She looked confused. Claire? Hi, Mrs. Brennan. I'm sorry to show up so late. Is Megan home? She is, but it's almost midnight. Is everything okay? Not really. Can I stay here tonight, Mrs. Brennan looked past me at the police car idling in the driveway. She looked back at me. Come inside. I'll call your parents. Please don't, I said. They kicked me out. I don't have anywhere else to go. Mrs. Brennan looked at Officer Ramirez, who had gotten out of the car and was walking up the driveway. Ma'am, this is Claire Patterson. She's 16. She says her parents asked her to leave the house tonight. We found her at the metro station. She asked if she could stay here. Is that all right with you? Mrs. Brennan hesitated. Then she nodded. Yes. She can stay. Thank you, Officer Ramirez said. She handed Mrs. Brennan her card. If you have any problems or if her parents show up, call this number. Mrs. Brennan took the card. I will. Officer Ramirez looked at me. You take care of yourself, Claire. Thank you, I said. She walked back to the car. Mrs. Brennan brought me inside. Megan came downstairs in pajamas, confused. Claire, what are you doing here? I started to explain, but I only got 3 words out before I started crying. Mrs. Brennan put her arm around me. It's okay. You're safe now. Let's get you dry and warm. She gave me a towel and a pair of Megan's sweatpants and a t-shirt. I changed in the bathroom. When I came out, Mrs. Brennan had made tea. She sat me down at the kitchen table. Do you want to tell me what happened? I told her everything. The missing money, Vanessa's accusation, my parents not believing me. Mrs. Brennan listened without interrupting. When I finished, she said, I'm going to call your parents and let them know you're safe. They don't care, I said. Claire, they're your parents. They care. She called my house. My father answered. Mr. Patterson? This is Diane Brennan, Megan's mom. Claire is here. She's safe. There was a pause. Then my father's voice, muffled but audible through the phone. She can stay there. We don't want her back until she's ready to tell the truth. Mrs. Brennan's face hardened. Mr. Patterson, your daughter is 16 years old and you put her out in a storm. I don't care what you think she did. That's not acceptable. My father hung up. Mrs. Brennan stared at the phone. Then she looked at me. You can stay here as long as you need to. I stayed in Megan's guest room that night. I didn't sleep. I kept thinking about Vanessa and the missing money and the fact that my parents believed her without even questioning her story. At 12:52 a.m., Mrs. Brennan's phone rang. I heard her answer in the hallway. Yes, this is she. A pause. What? Another pause. Oh my God. Is she all right? I got out of bed and opened the door. Mrs. Brennan was standing in the hallway in her bathrobe holding the phone, her face white. Yes, I understand. We'll be there in 10 minutes. She hung up. She looked at me. Claire, that was the hospital. You need to sit down. What happened? There was an accident tonight. A girl was hit by a car near downtown Evanston. They just identified her. It was your sister. The words didn't register at first. What? Vanessa was hit by a car. She's at North Shore Hospital. She's alive, but she's in critical condition. Your parents are on their way there now. The police need to talk to you. Mrs. Brennan drove me to the hospital. We got there at 1:10 a.m. The emergency room was bright and cold and smelled like antiseptic. Officer Ramirez was waiting in the lobby. She saw me and walked over. Claire, I need to ask you some questions. What happened? Your sister was struck by a vehicle at the intersection of Church Street and Chicago Avenue at approximately 11:20 p.m. The driver said she walked into the crosswalk without looking. He tried to brake but couldn't stop in time. She wasn't carrying any identification, so it took us a while to figure out who she was. We found her phone in her jacket pocket. It was locked, but we were able to get into her emergency contacts and call your parents. My head was spinning. Is she okay? She's in surgery right now. The doctors are doing everything they can. But Claire, I need to know, why was your sister downtown at 11:20 at night? I don't know, I said. I thought she was at home. Officer Ramirez pulled out a small evidence bag. Inside was Vanessa's phone. We unlocked it using her thumbprint before she went into surgery. We found some text messages that we think you should see. She opened the bag, pulled out the phone, and showed me the screen. There was a text thread between Vanessa and someone named Tyler. The messages were from earlier that night. Tyler, 9:14 p.m. Did you do it? Vanessa, 9:16 p.m. Yes. Told them I saw her going through the drawer. They kicked her out. Tyler, 9:18 p.m. Good. She's always getting in the way. You need to focus on us, not your loser sister. Vanessa, 9:21 p.m. I know. I feel bad, though. Tyler, 9:23 p.m. Don't. She'll be fine. Meet me at Buffalo Joe's in 20 minutes. We'll celebrate. I stared at the screen. Officer Ramirez watched my face. Claire, did you take that money? No, I said. My voice was barely a whisper. I didn't think so, she said. I think your sister did. And I think she blamed you to cover it up. The next messages were time-stamped later. Vanessa, 11:02 p.m. On my way, walking down Church Street. Tyler, 11:04 p.m. I'm not coming. What? My dad found out I borrowed money from him without asking. He's pissed. I can't leave the house. Vanessa, 11:07 p.m. Are you serious? I just lied to my parents for you. Tyler, 11:09 p.m. That's not my problem. Figure it out. Vanessa, 11:15 p.m. I hate you. There were no more messages after that. Officer Ramirez put the phone back in the evidence bag. She was walking back home when she got hit. She was upset and distracted, and she didn't see the car. I sat down in one of the plastic chairs in the waiting room. Mrs. Brennan sat next to me and put her hand on my shoulder. I couldn't cry. I couldn't speak. I just sat there staring at the floor. At 1:30 a.m., my parents arrived. My father walked through the automatic doors first. My mother was right behind him. They saw Officer Ramirez and walked over. How is she? My father asked. She's in surgery, Officer Ramirez said. The doctors will update you when they know more. My father nodded. He looked around the waiting room. That's when he saw me. His face went pale. Claire? I didn't say anything. He walked toward me. What are you doing here? Officer Ramirez stepped between us. Mr. Patterson, I need to speak with you and your wife. Privately. She led them to a corner of the waiting room. I watched from my chair as she showed them Vanessa's phone and explained what they'd found. My mother's hand went to her mouth. My father's hand started shaking. He looked at me across the room. Then he looked back at Officer Ramirez. Are you telling me Claire didn't take the money? That's correct, Officer Ramirez said. Based on the evidence we found on Vanessa's phone, it appears she took the money and blamed Claire to cover it up. My mother made a sound, half sob, half gasp. She sat down hard in one of the chairs and put her face in her hands. My father just stood there, staring at nothing. Officer Ramirez said something else I couldn't hear. Then she walked back to the nurse's station. My father walked over to me. He stood in front of my chair, hands in his pockets, and looked at me like he didn't know what to say. I didn't help him. "Claire," he started. His voice cracked. The doors to the surgical wing opened. A doctor in blue scrubs walked out. "Patterson family?" My father turned around. "That's us." The doctor walked over. "And Vanessa is out of surgery. She's stable, but she's in critical condition. She has a fractured skull, a broken pelvis, internal bleeding that we were able to stop, and swelling in her brain. We've put her in a medically induced coma to give her body time to heal. The next 48 hours are critical." My mother started crying. My father asked questions I didn't hear. The doctor answered patiently. Then she said, "You can see her, but only 2 visitors at a time." My parents followed the doctor through the doors. I stayed in the waiting room with Mrs. Brennan. 20 minutes later, my father came back out. He walked over to me and sat down in the chair next to mine. We sat in silence for a long time. Then he said, "I'm sorry." I looked at him. He looked older than he had this morning. Tired. Broken. "I should have believed you. I should have asked more questions. I should have." His voice broke. "I told you to get out. I said I didn't need a daughter like you, and I meant it. I thought you'd stolen from us. I thought you were lying, and I threw you out into a storm because I believed your sister over you. I didn't say anything. There was nothing to say." "I don't know how to fix this," he said. "I don't know if I can." "You can't," I said. The words came out flat. "You can't fix this, Dad. You threw me away. You told me you didn't need me, and you meant it. I heard it in your voice. You were relieved to have a reason to get rid of me." He flinched like I'd hit him. "That's not—" "It is true," I said. "You've never needed me. You needed Vanessa, the perfect daughter, the one you could show off. I was just in the way. And the second you had an excuse to make me leave, you took it." "Claire, please." I stood up. "I need to go." Mrs. Brennan stood too. "I'll take you home." We walked out of the hospital. My father didn't follow. I stayed at Megan's house for 3 days. Vanessa stayed in a coma for 6. On the 7th day, she woke up. The doctor said she'd make a full recovery, but it would take months. My parents called Mrs. Brennan and asked if I'd come home. I said no. They called again 2 days later. I said no. On the 3rd call, my father asked if he could come to Megan's house and talk to me. I said yes. He came alone. We sat in the Brennans' living room. Mrs. Brennan gave us privacy but stayed in the kitchen where she could hear everything. My father sat on the couch across from me. He looked like he hadn't slept in a week. "Vanessa told us what she did," he said. "She confessed. She took the money to give to Tyler. He'd asked her for a loan and she didn't want to tell us because she knew we'd say no. So she took it and blamed you. She said she didn't think we'd actually kick you out. She thought we'd just yell at you and maybe ground you, but when she saw us put you out in the rain, she panicked. She texted Tyler and told him she wanted to give the money back. He told her not to. They fought. She left the house to meet him and confront him. He never showed up. She was walking home when she got hit. I sat there listening to my father explain how my sister had destroyed my life on a whim. "And?" I asked. "And she's sorry," he said. "She wants to apologize to you. She wants you to come home." "What do you want, Dad?" He looked at me. "I want my daughter back." "Which one?" I asked. "Because a week ago, you told me you didn't need a daughter like me." "Both of you," he said. "I want both of my daughters back. But I know I don't deserve that. I know I failed you. And I don't know how to make it right." "You can't," I said. "You can't make it right. You can only decide what you do next." He nodded. "What do you want me to do?" "I want you to tell Vanessa she's not the most important person in this family. I want you to stop giving her everything and me nothing. I want you to admit that you threw me away because it was easier than holding her accountable. And I want you to understand that even if I come home, things will never be the same. Because I know now that your love is conditional. And I'll never forget that." He was crying. I'd never seen my father cry. "I'm so sorry, Claire." "I know," I said. I went home 2 days later. Not because I forgave them, because I had nowhere else to go. Vanessa came home from the hospital 3 weeks later. She apologized. I accepted it, but I didn't forgive her either. I finished high school. I graduated with a 3.9 GPA. I got into University of Michigan with a partial scholarship. My parents helped pay for the rest. I left for Ann Arbor in August 2018, and I never moved back home. I majored in computer science. I graduated in 2022 with a degree and a job offer from a tech company in Austin, Texas, making $78,000 a year. I moved to Texas and didn't look back. Vanessa graduated from UIUC in 2020. She and Tyler broke up junior year. She moved back to Evanston and got a job as a marketing coordinator at a healthcare company making $52,000 a year. She still lives with my parents. She's 28 years old and she's never lived on her own. My parents and I talk maybe once a month. Short calls, surface level updates. They ask how work is going. I say it's fine. They tell me about Vanessa's job or the weather or something they saw on the news. We don't talk about what happened. We've never talked about it. Not really. It sits between us like a wall we all pretend isn't there. Last month, my father called me. It was 9 p.m. on a Tuesday. I was at home in Austin watching Netflix. Claire, he said, I need to tell you something. Okay. I've been thinking a lot about that night. The night we kicked you out. I still think about it all the time. I think about what I said to you. Get out. I don't need a daughter like you. I think about how you stood on that porch in the rain and I closed the door. I didn't say anything. I know I can't fix it, he said. I know I can't take it back. But I need you to know that I was wrong. You were the best daughter we could have asked for, and I threw you away because it was easier than admitting Vanessa wasn't perfect. I failed you. And I'm sorry. It's been 9 years, Dad. I know. And I've been sorry for 9 years. I just didn't know how to say it. I leaned back on my couch, phone pressed to my ear, and I thought about 16-year-old me sitting at the metro station in wet clothes with nowhere to go. I thought about my father's face when he saw me in that hospital waiting room. I thought about all the years in between. Thank you for saying that, I said. Does it change anything? He asked. I don't know, I said. Maybe. Maybe not, but it's a start. We hung up. I sat there in my apartment in Austin, 1,200 miles from Evanston, and I thought about forgiveness. I thought about whether I owed it to him, whether I owed it to myself. I still don't know the answer. But I know this. I survived. I survived being thrown away by the people who were supposed to protect me. I survived believing I was worthless because they made me feel that way. And I built a life anyway. A good life. A life I'm proud of. Not because they believed in me, because I believed in myself. If you're watching this and you've ever been the scapegoat, the one who gets blamed, the one your family throws away when it's convenient, I need you to hear this. You are not the problem. You were never the problem. The people who failed to protect you, who failed to believe you, who chose the easy lie over the hard truth, they are the problem. And you don't owe them forgiveness. You don't owe them a relationship. But you don't owe them anything. You only owe yourself the truth, that you deserved better, that you were worth fighting for, and that their failure to see that says everything about them and nothing about you. My sister almost died because she lied about me. My parents kicked me out because they believed her without question. And I spent 9 years building a life far away from all of them because that was the only way I could survive. I don't know if I'll ever forgive them. I don't know if forgiveness is even the point, but I know I'm free. Free from their expectations. Free from their conditional love. Free from the need to prove myself to people who were never going to see me anyway. And that's enough. Thank you for staying until the end. If this story hit you, if you know what it's like to be blamed for something you didn't do, to be thrown away by your own family, leave me a comment. Tell me your story. Tell me how you survived. Hit like if you believe the truth always comes out eventually. Subscribe if you want more stories like this. And comment where you're watching from and what time it is right now. I read every single one. Take care of yourselves. And remember, the people who throw you away don't get to decide your worth. You do.